to be making some prawn empanadas, and this dough is a really simple dough that you can make with any filling you like, but today Brett and I have decided to make a lovely prawn empanada. To start making your empanada dough, you need 1 cup of plain flour or all-purpose flour. You need 80 grams of room temperature cream cheese. I've worked out that the light cream cheese is actually a lot better in texture than full body cream cheese, so that's a plus for this recipe.
A little bit healthier.
It is
with
a bit
all that butter.
You don't look at the butter.
Yeah.
So 80 grams of cream cheese goes in with our 1 cup of flour, and you just rip it apart, and that's why it has to be room temperature for it actually all to come together and make a beautiful dough. So 80 grams, and we have 110 grams of butter, and also at room temperature. So they all go in, and just a pinch of salt, just to bring out the flavour. A good pinch, a chef pinch. All right, and so what you do is you're basically rubbing the butter and the cream cheese together to form a nice dough.
So while Camilla's making the empanada dough, I'm going to move on to the little prawn filling. Okay, what we want to do is throw a little bit of butter into our pan, and we're just going to chop these prawns up. We're using prawn cutlets that have already been deveined and cleaned, so we're just going to take the tails off, and you want to cut this quite small. And that way it's easy to put into your empanada. It's a lot easier to chop it small and then put as much as you like in, but you want to be able to not have it poking out of the sides.
So just going back quickly to the dough, we've got really breadcrumby pieces, and now what we do, instead of just pressing it all together, we just pick it up in our hands and we make it into nice, firm, solid dough.
All good?
Yeah, and that's
Nearly
it.
there. Beautiful.
That's it.
So my butter's melted now. I'm just going to throw the prawns in just to start colouring.
While you're colouring, I'm just going to do a really quick knead. It's literally 3 or 4 times just to pull it all together. And once we have this really nice soft dough, we're just going to wrap it in Glad wrap and put it in the fridge for about 15 minutes just to firm it up so we can make some lovely little empanadas from it.
Great, so now my prawns are nearly cooked. They don't take long to cook at all. See, they're starting to go a light orange colour, which just shows they're cooking. I'm just going to throw a little bit of garlic and a little bit of tomato into my base.
It's a really fresh dish, this one, isn't it?
Very fresh. Oh, smells that beautiful garlic flavour. And then we're just going to put a little bit of coriander in at the end, just to give it a beautiful, fresh finish. And a little bit of lemon juice. That's nearly done. See how it's quite dry. You don't want it really liquidy. You want to keep it nice and dry so that it holds in the empanadas. So a little bit of lemon juice. A little bit of spring onion and some freshly chopped coriander to finish. And that's ready to go, to cool down, ready to go into Camilla's freshly made empanada dough.
Okay, so now we're back. Our dough is nice and cold. It's been sitting in the fridge for about 20 minutes. Our prawn is also really nice and cold, and you can see we've still got quite a bit of juice in there. It's running down, and that's what you want. You want to actually have that juice because it's flavour as well. So that looks fantastic. With our dough, there's a couple of different ways that you can make empanadas. I'll run through it. My favourite is the rustic looking way. And so you just pull off probably about a teaspoon size piece of dough, and you just roll it into a ball in your hand. And then just get a little bit of plain flour and just throw it onto your board. Don't dump it on because it'll be too much flour. Just throw it on, and you've also got some on your fingers, which is good. And then with the palm of your hand, you want to press the dough down. Now you'll notice it's really quite cold still, and that's the way you really want it to be. It's got to be cold so it will work for you, not against you. Okay, so as you can see, I keep on lifting it up and down so it doesn't actually stick to the bench. Another flick of flour, and what I'll do is I'll just put a little bit of flour on my rolling pin just to dry it out more than anything. So then I just want to roll this up, and I can see it. I can see my fingers through it. I don't know if you can see that. I can see my fingers through it, so I know it's a really nice thickness, but it's also going to come together for me. Now what I like to do is put it in my hand and get a teaspoon of mixture. And you're just cupping your hand a little bit, just so it nestles in there. 2 teaspoons. Okay, so we've got our mixture in the center. The sides are all clear. And so then we get some egg wash, and just egg wash one side. If you egg wash both sides, then it becomes way too sticky and it's a nightmare to work with. All right, so now we just turn the flap up that has not had any egg white on it, fold it over and press it down. I like it because it looks rustic, you know, it doesn't look like it's been manufactured. And I think that's really important about how good food looks when you're eating it. So now we've got it all glued down. The sides are a bit rough. And so what we do is we just grab a fork, dip it in some flour and make it look even more rustic. And I like to put a stop in the top just to let them air out. Once it goes on the oven tray, brush it with egg wash to bring that colour right out of it. Okay, so that's one way to do your empanada. The other way is to pull off another piece, flick on some more pastry and roll it out. Just like we did the first way. And you want to constantly turn it. It is soft, so you do have to be careful. But once you've got it nice and cold, it does work well with you. All right, so we've got our pastry rolled out. We want to make sure you can lift it up off the bench. And then what a lot of people like to do is use a cutter, so it's very pristine and perfect, depending on you. Have your cutter, your beautifully cut out piece. Mixture in the middle again. And exactly the same process again. On half of the circle, you put your egg wash, fold it over. I find it easier if I pick it up and do it, but it's entirely up to you. Squish it down. And just pinch it together with your fingers. And if bits like this start trying to stick out, all you need to do is get your fork and just push them back in. Oh, it's beautiful. And you can either leave it like that, or again, we can just pinch the sides down to make it look authentic. Okay, once we have our empanadas made, then we're just going to put them in the oven on 120 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on your oven. If it's not fan forced, then it will need to stay in for an extra 5 minutes. And then we'll just pull them out when they're nice and golden brown. Right, so we've just pulled our empanadas out of the oven. They've been cooking for about 15 to 20 minutes. As you can see, they're beautiful golden brown colour. You simply just lift them off. Check the bottom, really nice firm pastry. And these are looking great, and you can serve them as an appetizer. I'll just crank this one open to see. Beautiful, moist, fresh, not dry at all, perfect. And if you want to make these a day ahead, just throw them in the freezer and then pull them out and just reheat them. And you're good to go. It's your prawn empanadas.